Hey, it's Michelle popping in to give you a heads up on what this episode is all about. Now, if you're a personal brand or creator that wants to start posting on LinkedIn, or maybe you have and you're just not happy with what you're seeing, this episode is for you. I was thrilled to interview the founder of Authored Up, which is a creator tool and platform for LinkedIn. I started using it the moment it came out about 18 months ago in beta, and I've used it and loved it ever since. So the founder, Ivana, he was just so generous in sharing so many strategies, peeling back the layers of all that they do at Authored Up. And the beautiful thing is what she gives us, what she's sharing, is backed by data. So she's got some inside knowledge that she's really sharing today. Not only that, she gives us some tips on how to get started, how much time you should expect to start seeing traction, how the platform has changed in the last couple years. I know when I started posting in 2021 every day, it is a totally different place. But it is still a place, as she says, that we need good creators. In fact, she had so much knowledge she dropped. After we stopped recording, she gave me another half an hour of insights and help for my own content. And I only wish I recorded that. So she'll be back in March. I asked her, I said, Ivana, you have given us so much. We almost have another episode in itself. And so I'm going to have her back and I cannot wait. We're going to get a real deep dive and nitty gritty on some of the different content formats and how to do best practices. So that's going to be a fun episode coming up. So I just wanted to give her a shout out and just thank her. Authored Up. I'll put a link in the show notes so you can try it. This is not a paid sponsorship. She's just a tremendous human and her tool is what I use to really help me do my content and all the things. So with that being said, let me know what you think of this episode. When it ran as a LinkedIn Live, I got a lot of great feedback. People were so happy that we really explored areas and talked about things that you don't necessarily hear about. I want you to let me know. Are you posting on LinkedIn? Is this something that you plan to? Give me a holler and let me know. I would love to hear about your journey. And as always, if you found value in this podcast, which thank you for all of those who shout out and tell me they do, I would be so honored if you could give me a rating or review to hit that follow button and let's get this podcast to even higher places. Ask the Brand Therapist, personal branding for standout women. And I'm here to support women in their personal brands and just really help them get visible. So with that being said, let's jump right into this episode and enjoy. Hey there, it's the brand therapist, Michelle B. Griffin, and welcome to your weekly personal brand therapy session. As a certified personal brand and PR strategist, speaker, and author, I'm here to empower you to put yourself out there so you can find clarity, build visibility, and grow your industry authority. I'm super excited you're here. Now let's get going with today's session. Welcome, everybody, to this week's session of Ask the Brand Therapist. I'm the brand therapist, Michelle B. Griffin, and I am thrilled to have a special guest who's someone I have followed and admired for a couple years now on LinkedIn, and she's here to tell us all about how to create content and how to even create better content on LinkedIn. So welcome to the show, Ivana Totorovic. Did I get that right?
Yes, and thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. We have been connected for a couple years now. And about a year and a half ago, you found a problem. Okay. I read somewhere that you were so frustrated on how to create content on LinkedIn with ease that you actually decided to do something about it. So for those who haven't met you yet, please tell us a little bit about what you do and what you founded, and let's get into all the good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll be as short as possible. Basically, about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years, my co-founder and I started creating content on LinkedIn. We were trying to get some leads for our previous startup that failed. And the LinkedIn was a place to go, but none of us was a marketeer or even a salesperson. And creating a content was just too much. I would literally sit for 6 hours trying to post something and then removing, erasing, and then getting back. It was insane because I was very concerned about my personal brand, about myself, like how everyone else are going to see me, even though I was getting 3 likes. But anyway, so that was like a huge issue. And then we realized that there is a need for a tool because we couldn't find a solution. And we built the first version of a tool for LinkedIn creators that are not professional marketers and not professional copywriters, even though they are also using us, with the goal basically to help them get more awareness, more reach, and more engagement with their content.
I love it. So Authored Up was born, and I know you had a great beta thing. I immediately hopped onto it because I love the premise that if you're not a professional marketer, copywriter, writer, but you really want to build that brand, get out there, get visible, content is a fuel to our brands. So you started Authored Up. It actually went into live or out of beta sometime this year, I believe, correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was in July last year.
Okay. So for those, I put the event post out and everyone's really excited. Yes, tell me more. And I want to just clarify, because I've been a user from day one. This is not an AI tool, and it's not against LinkedIn's terms and conditions. And I know it's very important, people. So can you explain a little bit how that works so everyone knows we're safe and sound with Authored Up?
Yes. By the way, my background is also in compliance. So that's something that I always consider before doing anything else. And LinkedIn terms of use was like the place to read. So how we developed Authored Up is basically we are not taking any kind of a cookie. Cookie is imagine it as your password and your username. So whoever has a cookie, it can be taken with a Chrome extension, or you can just directly provide it. Whoever has that has access to all your profile. That tool can send messages, can collect data in your name, and basically pretend that it is you in front of the LinkedIn servers. That is the way how usually tools are doing. It's super efficient, and you can collect a lot of data, send a lot of messages, spam people, etc. But we didn't want to do it because first, it is not fair. Second, it is against terms of use. And third, the most important, you can get banned on LinkedIn and you can lose your profile because you are behaving like that. So when we started developing features for Authored Up, we were making them, even though sometimes they're not super efficient, we are making them according to LinkedIn rules.
So you really are a creator tool. That's what I call a creator tool, a platform, and that it works like if I want to go and post now, if I have Authored Up, which I do, it brings your interface. I can save drafts, there's analytics, there's so many things. You even have hooks and writing aids. You have so much to help people get started. So I know I got really excited when I posted about this event and this, today you did as well. We had several people say, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Tell me more. Some of the specific questions I'd really want to hit on today are, how do you get started if you've never been started? How do you save time? LinkedIn is an amazing place to be seen, but there's a lot of time involved. And what are some of the things that are really trending for the coming year? You do a lot of data. That's the thing. You're not given theory here. You and your team are data scientists and all the things. So when you post, people listen. So I know those like 3 loaded questions. Let's just start somewhere and tackle all that, please.
Yes. As you mentioned, we have millions of posts. We did an analysis with more than 30,000 LinkedIn profiles from all over the world, from totally newbies to those that have hundreds of thousands of followers. So we have a pretty good awareness of what is going on. So let me start from one of the questions, and that is how to start. What we see is that those that have a clear understanding of the goal and the path to that goal on LinkedIn always perform better than the ones that are just starting without having understanding what they really can expect from LinkedIn and when. So when those that never started or are just trying out different content formats, topics, etc., is first of all to define, if possible, only one goal. And what can be a goal? First goal can be, for example, get more awareness, more reach for your post, like increase that. The second goal can be, or it can be on an engagement side. The second goal can be improve communication in my DMs. If I'm reaching out to someone, they are aware of my content. I can build better relationships. When I send a connection request, they can see my content. And that's how we form first type of relationship. third goal can be inbound leads. So I know that usually you want everything, but having one in mind is the best, so you can optimize your content strategy around the end goal. And the second part is, how long do you expect that path will take? Usually, some coaches, unfortunately, are selling you a story that you can start and in 15 days you will get 10 inbound leads for your coaching business or whatever.
Yeah.
But you cannot really see real results until you invest at least 3 months. And ideally you need 6 months. So you just need to have in mind the time frame that you will need to invest on LinkedIn.
So many people, either they're sold by the instantaneous win or expect that in our instantaneous culture. I always tell my client, give it at least 90 days. And then I love that you say, but expect 6 months, right? That's realistic. We want to know realistically. It's not a press a button, you're getting all these leads. It takes time to build anything, and especially a brand and content. It's constant. And you see these big creators that will tell you about how when they first started, look, when I started, it were crickets. You know, the sad thing is that those are the people who maybe are not aware and just are embarrassed because they don't have the engagement yet, and they give up too soon. And those that stay in the game are the ones that win it. So I love the 90 days to 6 months, 3 months to 6 months. So this is so good. So we've got our goal. We've got our realistic expectation on the time. Where else does one kind of frame that starting point?
It is about the topic that you're going to write about and how are you going to approach the topic. Before 2 years ago, 3 years ago, you could write posts that are how to do X or my top 10 tools for Y. And those type of posts were pretty good on LinkedIn. However, the community evolved and we see more competition. And right now you need to invest more time into a post, into a specific topic to be seen as an expert. You cannot expect, if you're writing about 10 different topics, you cannot be seen as an expert. And it is the same on any other social media platform and anywhere else. So it is about choosing 3 topics that are interconnected, up to 3. It can be even 1. So imagine a person that is, for example, a marketing expert that is selling services for their agency, or it is selling CMO services, etc. So that person, first of all, has a target market, probably SaaS or startups or something. So marketing for startups is one topic. The second topic would be case studies, how to approach, what are the good tactics regarding that. And the third topic can be cluster, can be about services. It can be also about something specific that they are doing into that with their clients. So it really needs to get into some kind of a funnel. So when a potential client sees you, they think, okay, so this is Ivana, she's for marketing for startups, for those that are in early stages. So it needs to be specific. And one additional note, everyone thinks that if you write about topics that are huge, for example, recruiting, remote work, or marketing or something, that you will get a lot of impressions and awareness. However, when you are starting, you need to think about the competition into your topic. It is not the same if you are getting into sales topics or if you are getting into cybersecurity. It's much lower competition in some topics. So if you can try to niche it down to something that is not as competitive as sales or, for example, LinkedIn.
Oh, I love that. So I always say everywhere I can, specificity sells. We really need that going forward on LinkedIn in 2024. Really, there's 1 billion people, members on the platform, 8 billion people in the world. We have to be really narrow laned and niche and all that thing. So specificity. And also as you're doing this content and finding these areas, let's just make sure our profile headline says that. So there's alignment there. I see there's some people who have vague headlines and I have no clue that they're going to be writing and sharing all that. So that's an alignment issue there. This is such good stuff, Ivana. So any last things on where someone should ramp up and look into before they get out there?
Testing. You need to have a plan to test what is a successful post and what is not a successful. Like what can you expect, what you cannot expect? Again, because what you will see, When you have one topic, let's say I'm writing about LinkedIn algorithm, I can write about how I get the data, what are the insights, how that data is actionable for someone. I can write my personal story about that, our process, etc. So you need to test the approach to specific topic because not because different approaches will work for in different cases.
And also, I think that what you're comfortable with. I want to go back to one thing you said, though. When I started posting every single day in 2021 as a personal challenge, I think I ended up with 532 posts that year within groups and stuff. How to was so popular. I've archived all my content in Google Docs and categorized it. I look back at some of the stuff then, and I know it does not. And I've even tried to repurpose it a little bit earlier this year, and it does not. And of course, the reach is down, but it doesn't get the play because more people just decided to come on the platform, and we're just immune to it. And of course, we'll bring in the Chat GPT, which is information like that. It's a commodity. So I'm really suggesting less how to versus how we see it, more of that personal story, personal insight stuff with a twist on your topic that no one can replicate. Have stories in there, like you can talk about it when you found it. So can you talk a little bit more about that before we jump into some of the real big areas that we should start looking into?
Yes. Ideally, every post that you create, you will assess by yourself before posting. And how to assess. Imagine that there is no your face, no your name, nothing, and that the post is written. Then ask yourself, if I would read this post in a feed, would I immediately think, oh, it is Ivana's post, it is that person post, or it seems like anyone in the world would be able to write or that post. If that is a post that seems like someone else can write it, that is not a good post. So you need to add specific elements in each post. You can do it by adding insights from your perspective, your experience, what you observed, what you did, etc. It can also be what you saw. It can be statistics because regarding the numbers, it's really usually hard to find them. So you can find interesting statistics and then write a story around these numbers. But at the end, it needs to be something that is hard to find by Googling that keyword and how to work.
Oh, I love that. So if you can Google it or Chat GPT it, it's going to be probably pretty generic or very shallow. So we need to really season it up, as I like to say, with our specific stuff unique to us that no one can replicate. No Chat GPT or AI can take that away from us. I love that idea of just making it a blind post. Does it fall flat? Is it too generic, too vanilla? It's not going to go far. People, I'm just from my you're looking at the numbers, but from my view, I have seen less of the how-to, and people are really gravitating to the journey. Here's my journey. Here on this journey, and really, I like to think of it as I'm just going on a journey, sharing my stuff. There's probably people behind us who would really save them time and all that, and that's how I look at my content and taking them to where they want to go, and using sometimes me as a guinea pig or the stories. So I love that approach because that makes us relatable too, to attract the right people we're here for. So that's so important.
And one additional note, what we see is that everyone are talking about personal posts that are going really great on LinkedIn. We can get more into it, but building public posts are amazing posts, talking about how you failed, not only how you succeeded. So posts that are more into the journey where you learn something, even if you failed, are much better than talking about how successful I am, how amazing my clients are, etc.
People are tired of that. They're tired of all that fakeness because there comes a lot of that fake Instagram life where people do all those things. And we just need real people, vulnerable, because none of us are perfect. Right? And so we have to just project the reality of everything in the most kind way. I mean, there's some people who go a little bit more vulnerable than others, but that's an individual thing. But I love that. Before we move on to some of those other questions, in June of this past year, into June 2023, LinkedIn officially came out through that Entrepreneur Magazine podcast thing that said, hey, we're kind of changing the algorithm. We're really favoring insights and takeaways. What have you seen since that happened? And what are some of the areas we need to look out for with that in mind?
Yeah. First of all, we saw that they changed the algorithm twice, not once.
Oh, tell us more about that.
Yeah. The second time was in September.
Okay.
So And the one that they mentioned was already in place when they mentioned it. So yes, they said it during the summer, but we saw already, I think in March, we saw that there are tweaks in algorithm. And when LinkedIn is releasing anything, they are never doing it by just switching the button, like pressing the button. It's always in phases. So until you see the results of their changes, maybe it will pass one day and maybe it will be 3 months. That is how they are also doing with any new features. They're always providing it to specific groups and then testing it out. That's how they are performing with the algorithm. So what we see is first that it is they are trying to lower the reach, especially LinkedIn doesn't like influencers. LinkedIn is not into getting people to have hundreds of millions of views. Yes, it can happen. We have the data, but usually they are not into it. What they want is to serve good content to the people that you potentially know you are interested in, to your first or second level connections, to your followers, etc. So we see drop in reach. We see it even more in this in the past 2.5 months. In December is always pretty low, but we see it even lower than the previous December. We also see that the way how they are shipping the post has changed. When I say ship, like when you click post button, what happens? LinkedIn first gets your post and then shows the post to a few people, usually your first connections. And then the people that you talked into DMs, if they responded to you, to people that you just connected with. So they assume that those are the most interested into what you have to say. And then they are checking how these people will react. Are they going to engage or not? If they are going to engage, they are going to push it even more. If the same group of people comments on your post, they are asking you to comment as well. So this testing period was in the past few years has changed and is longer and longer. Right now it's about an hour. So don't expect that when you press a button, that is when people are going to see the post. That will change. And one more thing that we saw is that it is trying to, before, when you post, the post will get the highest reach in the first day, and then in the second day it will be lower, and it will be like in the 7 days nobody's gonna see it anymore. So right now the first and the second day are crucial. Sometimes the second day is even more important than the first day. That's why they are trying to get you to engage under your post and to start conversations there.
I always say it's about starting conversations. I love that. So this is kind of good news for people like, look, I don't have the time or inclination to want to post every day. After I finish my challenge, I'm about 3 to 4 times a week, but I comment heavily and stuff. So that's kind of good that there's a shelf life for the next day. And so that's good. It's really not about the quantity so much anymore, about the quality. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
It depends on your goal. We see for personal profiles, and for personal brands, we see 3 different funnels, call it like that, or 3 different tactics that you can use for LinkedIn. The first tactic is post every day. Try to be there every day, spend as much time as you can, engage with people, and your goal is to get more followers. So when you're getting more followers that are following you because of the content and engaging, that's how you get even more traction, and that's how you can expect to get viral more and more. And then in the future, those are the people that have right now between 50, 100, 200,000 followers. And what is their goal? Their goal is to sell you a course or to send you to Gumroad to buy something. And basically it's about digital assets that they are selling, their communities, etc. For that, you need a huge awareness. Then you have another type, and they need to be on LinkedIn. And if they tell you that they are not, probably, I'll be open, they are lying. They need to spend hours per day, and that is their daily job. You have another way where you won't get that virality, huge following. However, you can get in front of eyes of your clients. And that's where you can post between 3 to 5 times. The idea is to have actionable tips, case studies as much as possible. obviously not every post should be a case study, but try to explain your process. And even if you have few thousands of followers, you can really be great on LinkedIn and get inbound leads because you're serving exactly what your client wants to read. Then you're not optimizing for awareness. You're not optimizing even for huge engagement. So those are the two. And then you have a personal branding where it is more about defining personal brand and then seeing what will happen in the future. For them, it's 4 to 5 times that they can post. They can post also personal stories. They can post building public elements, etc. And that's for personal branding. And then they will see how they are going to monetize if they want directly monetize their profile.
That's really interesting that you've defined it 3 different ways. Yeah, I think I fall in the middle category. Yeah. And that's why you see so many people with even under 5,000 or a couple thousand, they're just doing so well in their business because they are so honed in to who they serve, the problem they help them with, and then the content addresses that. So this is so good. This is so good. Well, let's get into some of the other questions that we got in these posting about our event today. I know people are like, hey, I'm stressed about time. And what are some of the formats that you really see that are doing right now in your research?
Yeah. Probably the most interesting is that polls are performing great. Everyone were against them because we had too many in a feed. However, right now, not many personal profiles, also works for company pages, didn't use polls. And LinkedIn has a space in a feed for polls. So when you check a LinkedIn feed, they have some algorithm that says out of 20 posts, 5 will be post with image, 2 will be text, 2 will be carousel. So they have something like that. And when you have a poll, they have a place for poll. There is no huge competition. So that's something that is interesting. And it works great during the weekend.
Interesting. Okay.
Only 1 poll per week.
Okay.
More than that is too much. And if you're talking about the best structure, 3 answers, don't put other as an answer. Put 3 very simple answers, like 2, 3 words the most, and try to engage in comments. But usually polls are really good if you want to nurture the community and not to spend too much time on a specific post, because it's not the same return on investment if you post a poll or if you do a carousel. Then we have carousels that are still the best. They perform 40% better than typical text post. Text post is a median one. And they need to have, I think, between 9 to 15, 16 pages. That is the ideal number. More than that, engagement goes down. Less than that, people think that could have been a post with an image. You are just trying to game the system to get me into carousel.
That's so good. So I'm so glad. I kind of dropped off my carousels. I was using them heavily the last 2 years, and they did really well, but so did reach was way up then. Everything did. But so I need to go back. But I love how you said 9 to 16 is a sweet spot. Is that what you said?
I think 9 to 16 is a sweet spot for number of pages for carousel.
Okay. Yeah. Once I saw someone put up 100-page carousel, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's really good. What about videos and any of those kind of other formats?
Yeah. So videos are for middle of the funnel. They are, when we are comparing, right now I'm talking about reach, but when we are comparing reach, they are not at the top for sure. However, they are amazing in nurturing existing community and followers. When we right now publish this post, people will be able to connect with us. You won't get viral usually with video, only if you are doing a video where you're screen sharing ChatGPT. That's something that can go viral, but anything else won't. But the idea with the video is that a lot of people that see video are really watching at least a few tenths of seconds. So we see that the percentage of those that watch video, like even if you have, let's say, 1,000 impressions, you can get 300 views. And to get 300 views on a video is totally different than getting even 3,000 views on a text post. So use them for the middle of the funnel when you are explaining something, sharing your methodology, sharing your approach, because that's how people are going to connect with you.
Oh, a good point. Okay. Well, I have a question before we get into some other areas and we start wrapping up our amazing time together. So I know about 2 years ago, LinkedIn threw up the newsletter for everybody. Remember, it used to be application only or something. I held off because I wasn't quite ready with the area of my zone of expertise. So I'm going to be launching my LinkedIn newsletter and then an offsite one to go with it in January. So what is your take and how are newsletters performing?
We don't have data on the quality or what is written in newsletter. What we can see is that someone is promoting their newsletter or someone else's newsletter. We, however, talk to people because yes, we have an open roadmap in Outer Apps and anyone can suggest a feature. So when they suggest, we usually at least get on a call or in DMs to see what exactly they need and what is the pain. They were thinking about formatting newsletters, etc. I think that the problem with newsletters is if you are writing only for LinkedIn, you don't have access to emails, to people that are following your newsletter. You don't have enough insights to know how they are performing. And also, at some point, we saw an inflation of newsletters. Everyone started a newsletter. It was so easy. You have a creator on LinkedIn, and you just click on, and you have a newsletter. But not many newsletters. I think that 95% is stopped. So people are not using them. We'll see what LinkedIn is going to do with it because LinkedIn doesn't want to provide you data. And when you are collecting followers for newsletter, you're usually doing it because you want it out of the platform. You want to own the channel.
Absolutely. I'm doing mine. I think I'm going to strategize. I read this somewhere once. Maybe have it because you're going to get the eyeballs, but then direct people to the offsite ones. So kind of use them in tandem, maybe find a good way to do that. Because it does serve, when you go in someone's profile, you see it. So there are some advantages, but if you can leverage both ways. So I love that. New articles. I know you don't study off platform, but I see so many articles when I do Google searches. So I really always talk about write some articles. People are going to find you off platform that way.
Yeah.
So that's really good. Before we kind of just ease into the end of our time together, any last things that we should know about to use LinkedIn, start creating better content and start creating content for the coming year?
Yes. Competition will go up. We know that. Not only that we have AI content tools, but we also, obviously, ChatGPT, etc. We also have a whole corporate influence teams getting into it, businesses getting into it because they see the opportunity. However, there is still a lot of space for quality content. So if you have an option to optimize quality content, then the quantity of it, try to get the quality. So 2 or 3 great posts are much better than 7 average ones because anyone can write an average quality post and not everyone can do the quality ones. So you have a knowledge. You don't need ChatGPT to write you a post. You also have your voice. I'm sure about that. And ChatGPT cannot mirror it. We did so many tests. It cannot mirror your voice and it cannot mirror your knowledge. So in content creation, you just need tools to help you with that. But you are the one that is creating, and quality content always before the quantity.
Yeah, because you can go and comment in between when you're in between the posting. That's my strategy. I love that. I'm going to count that as your actionable tip. So just to give people some really, how can they start learning more about Authored Up, and tell us about some of the high level things as a creator tool so they know how amazing it is, because I'm such a fan.
Yeah, thank you. So yes, they can always go to outeredup.com, find me or Outered Up. We have a very active company page on LinkedIn where we engage with everyone, and also on the From Store because we have an extension. Regarding the Outered Up, that is a tool that we needed when we started creating content, and that everyone that is creating and really wants to be more efficient and to save time while not getting into AI space really needs. That is a tool that will really help you with everything from content creation, previewing your post, readability score, super important. Aim at 3 to 5. then you can save drafts and everything is on LinkedIn, because people are not spending time outside of LinkedIn. You're on LinkedIn, you're scrolling, you have an idea for a post or for a draft, open Authored Up, immediately write it down, tag if you want, close it down, and then move on. So that is the ideal way how you're going to use Authored Up. And all our users that are active on LinkedIn and keep using Authored Up and keep creating content. Consistency on LinkedIn is more important than Authored Up, to be fairly open, but are seeing much better results. And when I say much better, 2, 3, 4 times better results in their content performance when they are using Authored Up for a few months.
Absolutely. I love that. And just on a very superficial level, I love the fact that you have in the creator part, I can bold some things, I can italicize. It just gives some pop and readability, and all that matters. It all adds up. Yeah, if you have not tried Authored Up yet, I highly recommend it. This is not a paid post. This is me just really loving what she does and the tool to help us create as personal brands content, better content. And not only that, it's all based on data and you're testing. It's not theory. You're truly here to help people and you back it up. So I cannot thank you enough for spending time today. This has been so insightful. I've learned so many new things today, Ivana. I really appreciate it. If it's okay, can I put your people can connect with you and your brand and your company page? We'll put that in the show notes.
Yes,
absolutely. And yeah, go check it out, everybody. So that's it for today, everybody. And I just want to encourage you, if this is the time, if you're on the sidelines and you really want to share your voice, which as we learned today is so needed out there, now's the time to start thinking about it. Today gave us some really actionable strategies and real practical tips on how to get started. So with that being said, as always, keep putting yourself out there. You have a brand to build, a message to share, and people to impact. I'll catch you next week. Take care. That's a wrap for today's brand therapy session. Are you ready to get visible and build your personal brand? Then head on over to thebrandtherapist.io and grab my free resources to get unstuck and get going today. And until next time, thanks for listening.